Happy week 5, everybody. I'm going to jump into our discussion post here. How does the Pulpit view compare to other creation myths and scriptures that you have read? How is it unique? Why might we see creation stories important pieces of literature needing our attention? I actually enjoyed this one. It was a fun, I wouldn't say fun read, but it was a good read. It was, when we learned about indigenous and all that, I being Native American, belonging to a Native American tribe, we have, our beliefs on how everything was created, and we call it the creator. So reading these other, kind of different, I don't know word I'm looking for, aspect of how everything was created is interesting to me, and I enjoy it. It's kind of neat to see different, the mindsets. Just getting into it, it was kind of similar to the Genesis for me. Just as it was saying how everything was created, although the Pulpit view went into a lot more detail, I felt, than like the Genesis did, on how everything was created. You had the heart of the earth, heart of the sky, all that stuff, and then you'd go through with all your the maker and the modeler, and it was just it was interesting to kind of hear them. I felt like they were trying to create, once we got to the animals and they're trying to create the people, for somebody to worship them, and that's what they were trying to do. And then when it didn't work out, they would destroy that person and completely start over. I think there was one reference to the mud men or mud people or something like that they created. Then other ones were made of wood, and then when it didn't work, it was a pretty gruesome scene of grinding bones and getting rid of them and everything else. So it was interesting for me to understand, coming from the Mayans, and how intelligent the Mayan people were, just from past stuff I've learned about them. It made me wonder, why when they were creating different forms of humans to worship them, I felt like that maybe that's how the Mayans were created, to be so smart and be able to do all the things that the Mayans did. Maybe that was what they created after working through the mud people, the people made of wood, finally getting to the right person in the Mayans, and were those right people. So that's kind of what I got from a lot of it. I think these are important pieces of literature. I mean, being native, like I said, being native, and every indigenous, type people have different ways of how they view things as being created, and we need to understand their thinking and where they come from. And I think, learning how the Mayans thought, they were created, and then versus, us, where we have somebody we call the creator that created everything. Then you obviously have Genesis, where, it's God that's creating everything. And, so it was just, to me, I think it's important pieces just to understand where people come from and their beliefs. And, it just helps us learn about those people. So I'm interested to hear everybody else's comments and what you guys thought. It was a good read. I enjoyed it. So, I look forward to hearing everybody's comments. Have a good week.